Most salespeople are not underperforming because they lack effort. They're underperforming because they're wasting energy on things that look productive but don't move revenue. That's a very different problem. And if you don't solve that problem, more hustle will not save you. The top 1% are not winning because they wake up at 4 a.m. They're not winning because they send 200 cold emails a day. And they're definitely not winning because they're more stressed than everybody else. What I've seen again and again is something very different. The best salespeople don't just do more, they do the right things with more discipline, more clarity, and a lot less noise. So you've been grinding, staying busy, filling every hour and still not getting the results. This video may hit a nerve because the problem is probably not that you need to work harder. It's that you need to work with more intention. If we haven't met, I'm Karsten, and on this channel we talk about sales leadership, performance, and the uncomfortable truth most people prefer to avoid. And one of those truths is this: hustle culture has sold salespeople a lie. The story sounds familiar. Do more, push harder, sleep less, be available all time, take every meeting, answer everything immediately, fill the pipeline, stay busy, and somehow that's supposed to be high performance. But I don't buy it. I've had enough periods in my career where my calendar was completely packed. Customer meetings, internal reviews, forecast calls, travel, airports, hotels, late dinners, too much coffee, too little reflection. And if I'm honest, there were days that looked very productive, but when I stepped back, absolutely nothing had really mattered. You know that feeling. You finish the day exhausted and still ask yourself, what did actually get done? That was a turning point for me, because intensity is not the same as effectiveness. And once you work alongside people who consistently perform at a very high level, you start to see a pattern. They're usually not the loudest, not the most frantic, not the most performative. They're calm, clear, and deliberate. They don't worship activity, they worship clarity. And over time, I kept seeing the same 5 habits show up again and again. Not flashy tactics, not motivational nonsense, just disciplined behavior that separate professionals from everyone else. So let's get into it. These are the 5 habits I see in the top 1% of sellers. And if you're honest with yourself, you'll probably know very quickly which one you've been neglecting. The first habit is ruthless pipeline hygiene. Not more leads, better leads. One of the biggest lies in sales is that a full pipeline is automatically a healthy pipeline. It's not. A lot of pipelines are not healthy. They're just crowded. Crowded with deals that should have been killed weeks ago. I've seen this so many times. Someone shows me a pipeline and the headline sounds good. Coverage looks strong. Then you go down one level deeper and suddenly half the pipeline is just hope formatted in CRM. No urgency, no real business problem, no real access to power, no committed next steps, no timeline anybody really believes. But because the deal is still sitting there, it creates emotional comfort. And false comfort is expensive in sales. I learned this the hard way myself. There were periods earlier in my career where I kept deals alive far longer than I should have. Not because customer was moving, because I wanted them to move. And that's a trap. Sometimes the deal is not alive, sometimes you are keeping it alive. And that's not pipeline management, that's avoidance. I've also seen quarter-end reviews where everybody in the room already knew which deals were weak, but nobody wanted to say it out loud, because the moment you say it out loud, you have to face reality. Top performers face reality early. They don't fall in love with deals, they audit them constantly, because clean pipeline creates clean thinking, and a clean thinking creates better decisions. So here's the pipeline discipline. Every morning, run a simple 3-question deal audit. Question 1, has the customer given me a real reason to believe this is moving? Question 2, do I understand the business problem well enough to explain it clearly? And question 3, is there a concrete next step with ownership and timing? If the answer is no, stop pretending, fix it. Requalify it, downgrade it, or kill it. That's not negativity, that's professionalism. Second habit, pre-call research with a purpose. Not stalking, not showing off, not collecting random facts to sound smart. Just strategic curiosity. A lot of people in sales still operate with the mindset, just pick up the phone, and yes, action matters. Of course it does. But random activity is not the same quality activity. The best sellers don't research to impress. They research to find one thing that changes the conversation. That's the difference. I've sat in enough customer meetings to see this very clearly. Some people show up with packages of background information, annual report, leadership team, corporate history, market overview, slide deck, all the facts, and still the conversation goes nowhere. Why? Because information is not inside. The customer does not care how much homework you did. The customer cares whether you can make the conversation more relevant more quickly. I saw this especially in larger strategic customer environments. The people who stood out were rarely the people who spoke the most. They were the people who connected the dots fastest. They would say one thing early in the meeting and you could feel the room shift because suddenly the customer thought, okay, this person gets it. That's the goal, not impressing, relevance. So here's the habit before an important call. Do a 10-minute pre-call briefing, not an hour, not a meeting consulting projects, 10 minutes. And look for these three things. First, a trigger event. What changed? New leadership, earnings pressure, cost action, transformation program, reorg, competitive pressure, market shift. Second, a business priority. What are the likely being measured on? Growth, margin, efficiency, risk, speed, innovation. Third, one human hook to comment a comment they made. An interview, a panel, a post, a visible point of view. Something that makes the interaction feel human, not scripted. That's enough. Now you're showing up. You're touching base. You're showing up with a reason to matter, and that changes the quality of the conversation immediately. Third habit, energy management over time management. This one matters a lot because not every hour of your day is equal. Some hours you are sharp, you're thinking better, you listen better, you challenge better, you create more value, you sell better. Other hours, you're present, but you're not at your best. And too many people organize their day as if all hours are interchangeable, and they're not. The myth here is be available all time, or worse, the best reps are always on. Nope. The best reps know when they're best, and they protect it. I've had enough days where the best part of the day got swallowed by internal noise, stated calls, admin, email cleanup, meetings that should never have existed, and the important work. Customer thinking, deal strategy, high stakes follow-up, real selling gets pushed into the leftovers. That's backwards. I felt that even more during travel-heavy periods. You land somewhere late, your day is fragmented, you're reactive from the start, and then the one conversation that really matters gets the lowest quality version of you, and that's a terrible trait. Top performers are more deliberate. They know their peak window and they defend it. Not because they're rigid, because they understand their best energy should go to their highest value work. So here's the habit. Find your 90-minute peak block. The part of the day where you're mentally at your best. Maybe early morning, maybe late morning, maybe late afternoon. You will find it. And once you know it, protect it aggressively. No random internal meeting, no inbox roulette, no low-value admin, no reactive noise. Use it for work that actually moves revenue, trust, or deal quality. Customer calls, deal strategy, negotiation prep, executive follow-up, important outreach. This sounds simple. It is simple, but it's not easy because protecting your best time requires boundaries. And boundaries make some people uncomfortable. And that's quite okay. High performance is not being about convenient. It's about being effective. The fourth habit, structured reflection after every call. This one is massively underrated. Most people finish a call and immediately move on. Next meeting, next email, next fire, next distraction. And because of that, they repeat the same mistakes again and again without ever really seeing them. Same week opening, same point where they should have been challenged more, same moment where they over-explained. Same vague next step. They accepted because they wanted the call to feel positive. The miss here is experience makes you better, not automatically. Experience can also just make you repetitive. What makes you better is reflected experience. That's the difference. I've had calls where I came out thinking, that went well. Then later, when I replayed it honestly, I realized something else. Yes, part of it were strong, but I missed a better question. I let a softer answer pass I moved on too quickly. I accepted the next step that sounded good, but carried no real commitment. That reflection matters. Because in sales, small improvements compound. A better opening, a sharper question, a stronger pause, a cleaner reframe, a more confident close. None of those things look dramatic, but over time, they completely change the quality of your conversation. So here's the habit. After every meaningful call, take 3 minutes. That's it. And answer these 3 questions. What went well? What would I want to do differently? What is my one next action? That's the habit. No novel, no overcomplicated journaling exercise, just a disciplined feedback loop, because the best people don't just do work, they study the work. And that's why they improve faster. The 5th habit, 1 skill per quarter. Not random learning, deliberate practice. There's so much content out there now for salespeople, podcasts, books, LinkedIn posts, clips, my videos, frameworks, courses. 10 ways to handle objections, 7 hacks to close faster. Advice from people who have barely sold, but someone became expert. Most people consume too much and improve too little, because consuming content feels like progress, but often it's just entertainment with a professional tone of voice. The myth here is, always be learning. I'd frame it differently. Always be practicing something specific. That's what top performers do. They don't try to improve everything all at once. They identify one capability that would make the biggest difference right now. Then they work on that. Seriously, I've seen talented people stall not because they lacked potential, but because they were too scattered. A bit of this, a bit of that, new idea every week, new framework every month, lots of input, not enough repetition. And that does not build mastery. That builds noise. So here's the habit. Create a simple quarterly skill card. Write down 1 skill you want to improve, 1 resource you'll use to improve it, and 1 metric that tells you whether you're actually getting better. For example, better discovery questions. Resource, 1 book, 1 mentor, or recording of people who do it exceptionally well. Metric, how often do I leave a meeting with a quantified business problem? Now you're not just learning, you're building capability. And that's what high performance really looks like. Not hype, not motion, not performative busyness. Skill. So these are the 5 habits. Ruthless pipeline hygiene, pre-call research with a purpose, energy management over time management, structured reflection, and 1 skill per quarter. None of these require more hours. They require more honesty. Honesty with yourself. More discipline, more intentionality, and that's why most people avoid them, because it's easier to do more than to think better. So here's my challenge to you. Don't try to implement all 5 at once. That's usually what people do. They get inspired, they change everything for 48 hours, and then they fall straight back into old habit. Just pick 1. Just 1. Run it this week, then come back and tell me in the comments which one you chose and what happened. I read the comments and I'm genuinely curious. What resonates most? And if this gave you a different lens on what high performance in sales actually is, then subscribe, because that's what Carsten & Cut is all about. No fluff, no fake hustle, no sales theater, just honest conversations about what actually drives results. Looking forward to see you in the next one.